guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share with you some of my favorite yarns that I like to use for amigurumi. I have fallen in love with amigurumi over the last year, and I have discovered what I like to make my amigurumi with. So I thought I would share that with you guys. So this video should be super helpful to you if you are just wanting to get into amigurumi and kind of need some tips on where to start. Also, I feel like this is just an entertaining video because I love to hear what people's favorite yarns are, especially for specific types of projects. That's just something I really enjoy hearing, is people's opinions on their yarn choices, because we all like different things. And so, of course, this is to say that my list here may not be your favorites, but that's part of this. Why this community is so amazing is because we can all share what we enjoy using and take helpful tips from each other, and it's just an awesome community. So I hope that I'm able to share some yarns with you that you can pick up and try and will also fall in love with. I also want to quickly share with you my progress on my summer cardigan. So it's been a little slow going because I had a little bit of a tangled mess. I have found for me that when I am working with cakes of yarn, I think I drop something in every video, but when I'm working with cakes of yarn, I like to pull from the outside. That's just what works best for me. Well, I pulled from the inside on my first cake, and I ended up with a horrible tangled mess, but I was not about to give up on it because I really am trying to color control this as best as I can, and so I didn't want to waste any of the yarn. So I should have been farther along on this, but sometimes you just gotta take the time and do the detangling. So I finally got the detangling situation under control and was able to finish out that cake and started a new one, so hopefully it'll be smooth sailing from here on out. But here's what I have so far. So this is a pattern by MJ's Off the Hook Designs. It is for the Cabot Trail cardigan. I will have it linked below, and it's really interesting because it's, I believe, a one-piece pattern. So there is a little bit of seaming that you have to do, but no like sewing panels and stuff together. So I've never done anything like that before. So here's what I have so far, and I'm using the sugar wool cotton. Again, I brought this up when I showed this before. I cannot stand this at this point, this little piece of this blue. Oh, I wish I would have cut it out when I first started, but you live and you learn. So I've had so many awesome suggestions. I think what I'm going to do is take one of the homemade tags, I'm talking about, like the leather tags that say like handmade with love or whatever, and put it on there to kind of cover that up. A subscriber gave me that idea, and I thought it was such an awesome idea. So that's what I plan to do as of now, but of course that could change. So anyway, it's a 3-weight yarn, the sugar wool cotton is. It's one of my favorites to make clothing with. And so as you can see, it looks kind of funny now, but this is the arms. And then, so I'm guessing what we'll do is we will do the arms, and then we will do a panel again that is identical to this, and then kind of seam it up the sides. And I'm sure, somehow a neckline will be incorporated into this and some cuffing, so we will see. But it's very interesting. It's a very, very, very fun pattern. It's a 2-row repeat, and I don't get bored working on this at all. So it's been interesting these last couple months. I've always been, or I should say in the last year or two, have been the kind of crocheter that, unless it's a small project like amigurumi, I tend to jump around on projects a lot. And so I may work on 5 different projects in a week, and that's kind of how I've been and what's kept me invested. But as of lately, and I think just because I have a lot more things vying for my attention, and also, in the summer we're outside more, we're just busier in general, and so I'm not having as much time to crochet. And so with that has come only working on like one project at a time, which is different for me. Usually when I'm doing a project like this that's going to take quite a while, I will, you know, work on other things as well alongside this, but I don't know what it's, I don't know. It's just lately I've been wanting to just focus on a single project and work on that, and that's what's working for me. Of course, the way we crochet and how much time we can put into it changes over time, and so I'm sure when the craziness of preparing for the mission trip and summer is over and we get more into the slower days of fall and winter, I will go back to my crocheting 5 different patterns in a week. But for now, I'm having a great time making this, and I cannot wait until it's done so I can wear it and show you guys. It's just been a joy to work on, so I wanted to show you guys that real quick. Okay, so on to the amigurumi. The way that I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna show you a couple different types of yarn followed up by a crochet project that I've used using that particular type of yarn if I have one. Some I don't have on me. I've either gifted them or whatever, so you know there are going to be some that I don't have a example to show you, but let's just start with my very favorite. So my favorite yarn that I have found has become my favorite for amigurumi is chenille yarn. So my very favorite of all time is the Premier Parfait Chunky. So I had seen so many people use this, especially over on Instagram. There's a lot of creators that I follow over there that primarily use this for amigurumi, and I always was like, what's the hype? Like, you know, it's really not that expensive, but the problem is you can only find this online. I think it's like $4.99 a skein, and it is, how many yards? It's 131 yards, so it's not the best deal, but it's also not terrible either, especially if you can get it on a deal. But of course there's always shipping, and so that is inconvenient. I really wish that you could pick this up in stores. So there is a comparable yarn to this that you can find in stores that is also by Premier, and it is the Just Chenille. This is in 65 yard skeins, so about half of what this one is, but this is $1.25 at Dollar Tree. But there is a difference. I wasn't sure what the difference would be whenever I first ordered this, but there is a difference, and it's really hard to pinpoint what the difference is. So hopefully this makes sense, but I don't know if this is gonna come off on camera, but I have found that the Parfait Chunky is more matte, and then the Just Chenille is more shiny, so it has a little bit more of a sheen to it. This one is more full, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to describe it, but if you look at the individual strand, this one feels more plush, I guess you could say, more like they put more strands of the chenille, like individual little fibers in here. I hope that makes sense. Whereas this one, you can tell that it is not necessarily thinner, but lighter and less plush. I hope that that is a good description. It's just so hard to explain because they are very similar. So if you only have access to this, that's totally fine. Like, this is gonna work pretty much just exactly the same as this does. But I just do prefer this one. However, this is an amazing alternative that I totally recommend. So definitely use this if you have it available at your Dollar Tree. Also, you can now on Premier's website purchase this in a cone, and I think it's $20, and it's a better deal than even buying, I think it's 10 skeins, so like it's cheaper than buying this, like 10 skeins at Dollar Tree. So that is also something to keep in mind. Here's an example using the chenille yarn. This is using the Premier Parfait Chunky. This was the first pattern that I used the Parfait Chunky with, and this is the project that made me fall in love with it. I just love the color options, It's so soft, it's so nice. I just love it so much. So this is definitely my very favorite yarn to use for amigurumi. So real quick, let me show you this little mini octo I made using the Premier Just Chenille and from the Dollar Tree. And so you can see here, hopefully, there really isn't much of a difference. I mean, you really probably couldn't tell which is which unless you were here in person and really inspecting it. So again, if you only have access to this and don't want to order online, definitely go for it. It's still a great alternative. So, but aren't these just so cute? I just love the chenille yarn. I've fallen in love with it, and I cannot wait to get a bigger collection of the Parfait Chunky. I have a whole cubicle here donated, a whole cubicle, what's the word? Designated for chenille yarns. So I cannot wait to get more, and I love working with it. So also a crochet hook tip. You always want to go like at least 1 to 2 hook sizes below what this recommends. So this recommends using a 8mm hook, but I would definitely use like a 6 to 6.5 or 7mm hook, because you want amigurumi to be tight. You don't want the stuffing to like stick out of the little stitches. So just a little tip for you. Okay, and then the next yarn that I want to talk about, this one is difficult for me because I love and hate this yarn. So that is super jumbo bulky yarn. So like a number 7 weight, like this big size yarn. This makes the most awesome plushies, but it's horrible to work with. So here is what I have made. This is the only amigurumi I've made using a number 7 yarn, but I love this so much. It's the biggest amigurumi I've made. It's the softest, it's the squishiest. So it's definitely worth trying out a number 7 yarn when doing amigurumi, but be prepared to be frustrated because I have found with number 7 yarn, for one, it hurts your hands because it is, you know, it's just so thick and bulky, and you want to go down a hook size or 2, so that makes it even more of a struggle to use because it's very tight and hard to get the hook through, and it's just frustrating. So while it does produce an amazing product, it's a little bit farther down on my list of favorites because of how strenuous it is on my hands and how frustrating it can be. This yarn wanted to break on me so many times. This is, I believe it's a Yarn Bee yarn. I can't remember. Here's what I have left of it. I want to say it's like a baby Yarn Bee yarn. I'm not for sure though. But I mean, just look at this though, like how awesome is this? So I definitely say go for it and try it, but just, I would do a pattern that is easy. So this was like a no-sew pattern, and I think that's definitely the way to go. I think trying to sew with this, it's really hard because you don't want to pull too tight. I feel like this yarn is just so easy to break because it's big poofy yarn on a tiny little string. And so it's just easily breakable, but if you can get through the frustration, I say go for it. I mean, look at this. So cool. I love big amigurumi, and this is definitely one of my favorites I've ever made. Of course, also the sparkly safety eyes. I know this video is not about that, but Amazon, you definitely need some. I feel like they bring so much life to the project. Okay, and then for my very favorite yarn, which this is a very, I feel like I may be the only person that's used this yarn for amigurumi, but it has become my very favorite to use. And I've been like really wanting to pick this yarn up again and use it. I haven't in a while. The only problem is it was a Michael's exclusive, I think, for a while. It's a Bernat yarn. It's the Forever Fleece Finer. It is this yarn right here. It's a 5-weight, and this is one of my favorite yarns in the world. But it was clearanced out at Michael's, I think, last year. And now my friend Shannon from Shannon Talks Yarn, a while back she sent me a little video showing that they had these at Joann's now. So I'm very happy about that. Thankfully, I still have quite a bit of this left from the clearance. So yeah, I just love this yarn so much. It's so nice. I can't describe it. It's just the texture of it is so nice. It's the perfect size. It's not too thick and not too thin, so it's really easy to work with. The only problem I have with this is it is fleece. So if you have pets, it's going to pick up every pet hair in your whole entire house. So that's unfortunate. I would definitely not use this if you have pets and you're gifting it to somebody. But if it's just for your own enjoyment, it's totally fine. So I'm going to show you a couple examples that I've made with this, and hopefully you'll see why I love it so much. I think this is my very favorite amigurumi I've ever made. I don't know why, I just absolutely love it. And it is this little ice cream. This is from the book Kawaii Crochet, and I used the Forever Fleece on everything but the whipped cream. So just look how cute that is. I love the soft muted colors of the Forever Fleece Finer, and as well as like just the soft texture, but it's also, like I said, the perfect size. Being a 5-weight, it's not going to be huge and jumbo, but it's not going to be super small either, like if you were to use a 3 or 4-weight yarn. So I definitely love this so much. I cannot wait to, just looking at this makes me want to pick it up and do something with this yarn. But I have this one that is using that. I also have this, which is using the Forever Fleece Finer, and again, I love this. And just, if you could feel it, I wish you could just feel it. The fleece yarn just has a different texture, and it's just so fun to work with, and so smooth, and glides on the hook. It's just so perfect. So I think it makes the cutest amigurumi. I just love these. It's really hard for me to choose whether I like the Forever Fleece Finer better or the Parfait Chunky chenille yarns. It's hard. I don't know. Now that I've like got those down and messed with them, I'm like, okay, that might be my favorite. I can't choose. So obviously another option, which is a great option, is to just use worsted weight acrylic or cotton yarn. I do think that cotton is a little bit better, just because it's not going to pill, and it has, or at least it won't pill much, and it has a great stitch definition, so you can really, I don't know, it just, for certain projects I think cotton is the way to go, especially if it's going to be handled a lot, like if you're making something for a child or a baby. I think that cotton yarn is an amazing way to go, so definitely a great option. I don't have anything on me right now that I made using cotton yarn, so I don't have an example, but I do have an example using some regular 4-weight acrylic yarn. First thing is this little banana, and this was taken over by my 10-year-old son, and it has been handled and played with. So as you can see, this is one reason why acrylic yarn isn't always the best option, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it is peeling and fuzzing up pretty bad. And so it's not really showing up on camera as much as it is in person, but in person it's really, really bad. So if I was going to do this over, I would definitely use cotton yarn, but if acrylic yarn is all you have, then you can still totally make cute amigurumi with it. So definitely a good option. Here is another one. I used acrylic yarn. This is a Pop-Tart with a little magnet on the back, but I made it a little too puffy, so it's too big to hang on the fridge, but I did think this was super cute, and it turned out really good. My favorite amigurumi I've made using worsted weight yarn, actually I have two favorites because I totally forgot about this guy right here. So this little popcorn is also by Kawaii Crochet in that book. That one I used acrylic yarn, and of course, like, look how cute this is. This one is not going to be touched by my kids very much because I'm not going to let them. So hopefully this one won't pill, but I just love this so much. I think it's so cute. I hot glued the little popcorn on. So yeah, that's one of my favorites that I've made using regular 4-weight acrylic. And then this one. So along the lines of the regular 4-weight, using fun colorways also just adds a little bonus excitement, if you will. So like this is a fun, I love this yarn, Brights I think is what it is, and this is just so fun. I love how all the colors worked up, and it's just keeps you invested, I think, especially if it's a bigger amigurumi or an amigurumi that takes quite a while. Having these different colors in it just kind of keeps you interested and excited, I think. So I love the way this one turned out. This is one of the very first I ever made, and I love it so much. So I definitely want to go and check out some more yarns like this at Hobby Lobby or wherever. I just say Hobby Lobby because that's my favorite place to buy yarn. But Hobby Lobby has a lot of great colorways in the I love this yarn section. Here's a couple other examples. This one is using blanket yarn. So Bernat blanket is also a good option. I haven't used it as much as the chenille yarn, but it is a good option, and a lot of people love to make stuff out of it, so that's also a great option. And then here's another Parfait Chunky little leggy frogs. So I just love the way the Parfait Chunky looks with the amigurumi. I don't know why, I just can't explain it. I just love it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing some of my favorite yarns that I like to use for amigurumi, as well as a little update on that summer cardigan. Please let me know what you're working on, or let me know what your favorite yarn is to use for amigurumi. I hope that if you are wanting to try amigurumi for the first time, that this will kind of give you some helpful tips on what yarn might work out best for you. I think that a misconception that I had, and that a lot of people might have, is that amigurumi always has to be done with a tiny yarn and a tiny hook, but that is not the case. And that is honestly what steered me away from it for so long, was that I didn't want to use tiny yarn and tiny hook. But once I realized that all you have to do to change up a pattern that is amigurumi is, say the pattern calls for a 4-weight yarn and a 4mm hook, you can just change the yarn size and change the hook size. So the pattern you can leave exactly the same and follow it exactly as it is written, but you can just use a bigger hook and a bigger yarn weight, and it will make the project bigger. So hopefully that makes sense. But once I figured out that you can use any size yarn for amigurumi, I was hooked, because I obviously love the bigger plushies and not having to hurt my hand using a tiny little hook. So the Bible verse that I want to read to you guys today is Romans 8:18, and this is one of my very favorite verses, and it says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." This is just such an encouraging verse, to know that we are gonna suffer. There are some Christians that will say that once you are a Christian, that there is no need for suffering or sickness or any of those things, that all of those things were taken away when Jesus was crucified. But the fact is, we still live on this earth, and yes, one day we will be able to be with the Lord and will not have to deal with suffering anymore. But as long as we're on this earth, there will be suffering. There's no way around it. But we have something that the rest of the world doesn't, and that is a hope. And it's a hope that we're not going to be left in our suffering, that we can trust God, that whatever suffering we go through can be used for His glory and for our good, and that it's not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. And so we know that the glory and the strength of character and all the things that come out of our suffering, we can have hope to know that God is working that out, and we don't have to despair like the rest of the world who has no hope, that this life is all there is and then you die. No, there's more. That while we may suffer here, that one day we won't have suffering. We just have to believe in the gospel message. And if you don't know what that is, please feel free to reach out to me through email. It's kristencrochets@yahoo.com, or leave a comment, and I would love to talk with you about it. That is it for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to chat with you guys in the comments. I really hope that you have an amazing day. I pray that God blesses you, and I'll see you super soon in the next one.